Hello, everybody. My name's Jean Hartley. I'm a trustee of Friends of Ibba Girls School, South Sudan. And today we're very honored to have a discussion with Dr. Kuyok, Kuyok, who is the Undersecretary at the Ministry of General Education and Instruction. This means he's the most senior civil servant in this ministry. So, Dr. Kuyok, thank you very much for joining us today. And can you first of all tell us a little bit about your current role as Undersecretary and what background you have that gives you the experience to fulfill that role?
Thank you very much, Jean. I'm happy to do this because I think this is, I regard this as a very important part of my work. I'm a teacher, I'm a graduate of the School of Education, went to UK and qualified there, where I earned a PhD in education, and then came back to South Sudan just slightly before the independence and joined the university where I teach at the College of Education. I continue to teach until today. And yes, and I also did a lot of other things. I'm happy, I'm interested to do research in education and did some publications. So yeah, so I've been in this office, the ministry, for I think the last 1.5 years as the Undersecretary Minister of General Education. Yes, so it's an exciting job, and as you know, it's a very challenging job in so many ways. But yes, I think it is something that has to be done. So yeah, my main role. Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Your main role.
Yes, my main role is twofold. First, I have to. I'm the accounting officer of the ministry. I'm the chief administrator of the ministry, so I have to provide some technical advice to the ministers. I have two ministers. I have a minister and a deputy minister, so I give them technical advice. I also supervise a number of directorates, about 11 of them. Education in South Sudan is organized in a way that the ministry is responsible for setting standards, policies, regulations, okay? But the actual delivery of education is administered at the level of the states and counties. So the 6,000 plus schools that we have are mostly managed at the level of the states and counties, but we have to supervise them jointly with the state ministers of education and county education officers. Great. So that is a very important part of my work. I also liaise. We do a lot of work, as you just told me, Eric. We do a lot of work with partners, development partners. So, for example, we have a big project with Global Partnership for Education. We have the ECW, education, which are implemented through partners like UNICEF, UNESCO, Save the Children. So I also do that. I share the steering committees of these various projects.
Yes, great.
Yes.
And tell us a bit about some of the key challenges for education in South Sudan, and particularly girls' education.
Yes, I think now the problems of education in South Sudan, as you know, for the whole of last year, we opened in February, but we had to close in March because of the outbreak of COVID. And this has increased the number of out-of-school children. So we have got about 2.8 million kids out of school, I think one of the highest in Africa. And the bulk of this number are girls. 75% of them, they are rural children. And this is because historically education started as in the towns and for boys. So girls have got that issue, trying to catch up with the boys. So we have a huge number of girls out of schools, and that is not a good thing for a country. So that's one issue. But I think the biggest problem we have in South Sudan is shortage of teachers. We have acute shortage of teachers, qualified teachers, particularly science teachers and mathematics teachers. So that is a big problem. we are also implementing a new national curriculum, and that needs, which is also on its own problems. It has implications on. It is teacher centered. Sorry, it is learner centered, while the previous curriculum was teacher centered. Was learner centered. Yeah, it was teacher centered. So now we are trying to train teachers on this new national curriculum, which require resources. We also have a linguistic transition that we're trying to manage from Arabic language to English language, because South Sudan was a part of Sudan for all these centuries, sorry, all these decades, and therefore we need the new national curriculum has to be delinked from the old Sudanese system of education. So that is another challenge which we are grappling with. We're trying to address, which is basically training of teachers. So we have to recruit teachers, and then we have to train them. Issue. The other issue is the textbooks. You can't implement a new national curriculum without textbooks. So we need to produce enough textbooks. At the moment, the people textbook ratio in some cases about 19 textbooks per child. That's very high. And with COVID, that you cannot permit that. So we need to print more textbooks, and we are looking for resources to print more textbooks. We have printed textbooks through GPE, Global Partnership for Education, last year. We're also going to print another 2 million textbooks this year. But that won't be enough, because we have got about 3 to 4 million children enrolled in the school, primary to secondary schools. So we need more textbooks. If you think that we have got 7 subjects per 7 subjects, so it implies 7 textbooks times 4 million. It gives you about 28 million textbooks. So you can see we are way, way, way behind in terms of textbook provision.
Mm. Thank you. And briefly, tell us something you feel really proud of, what you've been able to achieve in the time that you've been Under Secretary of Education.
Yeah, I think, okay. At the moment, we are working on something very, very important to address the issue of teacher. I think the question of pay is very important. So with the previous minister, you know him, Deng Yai, and the current minister, we have lobbying the government to try and get a new salary structure. Because the argument is that if you do not improve the pay for teachers, I think education is going to struggle for a while. But if you have, for example, for university professors, many people have flocked. So we are advocating and the cluster, the education, the has accepted that, and we are now pushing it in the cabinet. So hopefully we will be able to get the approval for this new salary structure. In the meantime, the cabinet approved incentives for in phase 1 of the school reopening plan. So at the moment, as you know, we have reopened schools for the candidate classes, that is senior 1, so senior 4 and 8. And the government has approved incentives for teachers going in this period. And that is an achievement for us in the ministry we are proud of. I think the other biggest achievement for the new national curriculum, I think it was a process that started a long time ago, even before independence, but been achieved. So it's a milestone. It's a big milestone.
Great, thank you. Finally, Dr. Kuyok, what is the national view about Ibba Girls Boarding School and its contribution to education?
Okay, Ibba Girls, I think, is one of our most successful girls' schools in South Sudan. I think it is a school that we are proud of, and that we would want to, it's a model school basically, as I said in my earlier remarks, girls' education is struggling in South Sudan, and struggling because of a number of reasons that are narrated. Ibba school could be handled. It's a venture. It's a joint venture of local initiative together with an overseas partnership. So it's a working partnership. I know we are struggling now with the funding for Ibba, but it's a school that we would want to model in other places because it's a working model. If you want to have, one of the reasons why we have a lower girls, lower intake for girls, enrollment for girls, is because of lack of learning spaces. There are no schools. Basically, we need to build more schools for girls, okay? But these schools, of course, solve the issue of teachers. So that is an issue we need to address if we build schools for girls across the country. So that is good. They have their own space, which is good, because you need to look at problems from that perspective, from the perspective of girls, place where they should be feeling safe and learn freely. So Ibba is a very for South Sudan, not only for Western Equatoria. And I'm happy to tell you that today we had a meeting with colleagues from agency, and I think we have resolved the issue of the scholarship. So we're 60 girls from other counties, counties that do not have secondary schools for girls, and they will be admitted to Ibba, and we're going to have a scholarship. So we have 2 schools in Western Equatoria. Yeah. So that is really very, very good news. But yeah, it's a school that we would want to develop and support and sustain. Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time this morning. We know you're very busy.
Thank you.
But thank you very much for contributing
to
this meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.